When I sat down to write this, I realized how easy it is to celebrate success and completely skip the weight behind it. We clap for the wins, but we rarely stop to ask what it costs emotionally to get there. SB19 story always pulls me in because it doesn't feel distant or untouchable. It feels human, almost uncomfortably relatable.
This is what success looks like. Sold-out arenas, major awards, and the undisputed title of P-pop kings. This is the victory lap, the dream made real. But what if the real story isn't just the win? What if it's about the silent, crushing weight they carried to get here? This is the story of the pressure SB19 never talks about, and how the fear of failure became their greatest weapon. Every big movement starts small. Before the screaming crowds and chart-topping hits, there was just a room with 5 young men, a shared dream, and a mountain of doubt. They weren't just training to be performers. They were training to survive in an industry that had no map for where they wanted to go. To really get what SB19 is, you can't just look at the highlight reel. You have to understand the immense unspoken pressures that forged them. The pressure to prove they were worthy. The pressure to represent an entire country. The pressure to build a new industry. And the deepest pressure of all, the paralyzing fear that they might fail. This is how 5 boys from the Philippines didn't just climb to the top, they carried a whole movement on their shoulders to get there.
This part of their story always hit me hard because rejection at the beginning of a dream is something almost everyone understands. That feeling of being judged because you even get a pair shot. It's brutal. When I think about SB19 here, I don't see idols yet. I see 5 people just trying to justify their existence in a space that didn't want them.
Before they were called kings, they were called copycats. The first and maybe the cruelest pressure SB19 faced was just proving they belonged. In the world of original Filipino music, or OPM, a group trained in a tough K-pop style system was an oddity. They weren't met with curiosity, but with cynicism. Critics were relentless. They were trying too hard. They were fakes. They were just a cheap imitation of a foreign formula. At a press conference for their song Go Up, the questions felt more like accusations, challenging their identity and their right to represent Filipino music. This wasn't just internet trolls, it was a real-world skepticism. The pressure wasn't just to be good, it was to be unapologetically Filipino while using a framework the local scene hadn't accepted yet. They were fighting a war on 2 fronts, proving their talent while also defending their identity. Behind the scenes, the struggle was even more raw. For 3 years, the members trained without pay, with no promise of a future, and no safety net. They poured thousands of hours into their craft, pushing their minds and bodies to the limit for a debut that was never guaranteed. Pablo, Josh, Stell, Ken, and Justin were the last ones standing from a much larger group of trainees who couldn't handle the grind. They shared meals, pooled their money, and fought off the quiet desperation that sinks in when your dream asks for everything but gives nothing back. They've talked about the hunger, the exhaustion, and the fear of letting down their families who trusted in this impossible gamble. It all came to a head in a moment that's now a part of their legend. After years of struggle and about to give up, they put everything they had left into one last shot, the dance practice video for Go Up. This wasn't some high-budget production. It was just them, in a practice room, with a powerful song and the synchronized fury of their shared desperation. They released it hoping that someone, somewhere, would see the work they put in. And then the world answered. The Go Up video went viral, not because of a big marketing push, but because the talent and resilience were undeniable. The video's success was their vindication. It was the perfect response to their critics and the key that finally unlocked the door they had been banging on for so long. The pressure to prove themselves was finally met with public acceptance. But as one weight lifted, another, even heavier one was about to land.
This is where their story stops being just inspiring and starts feeling overwhelming. Representing yourself is hard enough. Representing a country? I can't even imagine that level of responsibility. Every move suddenly means more than just personal success or failure.
With success came a new title. They weren't just SB19, the struggling artists anymore. They were now SB19, the P-pop pioneers. Suddenly, their success wasn't just their own. It belonged to the Philippines. Every award, every chart position, every international interview became a moment of national pride. They were the first Filipino act nominated for a Billboard Music Award and the first to smash records on Billboard's Hot Trending Songs chart, truly carrying the P-pop flag to the world stage. This is the pressure to represent, a weight most artists will never know. Every song they release, every word they speak, is judged not just as a reflection of their band, but of an entire musical genre and, by extension, a nation of over 100 million people. If the K-pop industry was built on a superhighway of government support and decades of infrastructure, SB19 was paving a dirt road with their bare hands. No Filipino group had walked this path on a global scale, which meant their journey was uniquely lonely. It's a double-edged sword. As Josh has said, they feel both more freedom and more pressure as representatives of their country. Pablo echoed this, saying that freedom isn't freedom without responsibility. This is the tightrope they walk every day. The creative freedom to push boundaries is always balanced against the massive responsibility of being role models for a culture. You can hear this in their music, which blends Filipino language and emotional narratives, what they call hugot, with global pop sounds. The pressure to represent also demands an insane level of professionalism. There are stories that during a flawless-looking performance at Akon 2025, technical issues were causing total chaos backstage. Yet on stage, they adapted on the fly, communicating without words, and delivering a performance that left industry insiders stunned. That's not just talent. It's a mindset forged by knowing that any failure isn't just a personal setback, but a mark against the movement they lead. They know that every performance is an audition for P-pop itself. When they stand on an international stage, they're not just five men. They are ambassadors, carrying the hopes of every Filipino artist who dreams of following the path they're carving out.
This chapter personally surprised me the most when I first learned about it. Walking away from a system that finally brought you success takes courage that most people don't have. It made me realize SB19 isn't just chasing relevance, they're chasing control and longevity.
Just as they hit the peak of their success, SB19 did something that confused many, but made perfect sense for them. They took control. In 2023, they founded their own company, One Zed Entertainment, with their leader, Pablo, as CEO. This wasn't just a business move. It was a declaration of independence. It came from a desire to challenge everything that we see in this industry and to have complete control over their own future. This brought on a new, massive pressure, the pressure to innovate. They were no longer just artists. They were now entrepreneurs, responsible for their careers, their staff, and the entire system that would support their vision. They were building the plane while flying it. The name 1Z itself is a philosophy, a play on the phrase "in the zone." It represents their space for creating talent and their mindset of giving 100% to everything they do. Their mission is to build the support system they never had for the next generation of breakthrough artists. It was a huge risk. The music industry is full of artists who failed after leaving established labels. But for SB19, control was worth more than comfort. This mindset was born in their trainee days, where having nothing forced them to learn how to build everything. That philosophy is now the bedrock of 1Z Entertainment, a company built by artists, for artists. The pressure to innovate is constant. They have to balance being global performers with the demands of running a business. They're involved in everything, from writing songs to directing music videos to planning long-term strategy. This was tested during a legal battle over their own trademark, which happened at the exact same time their hit, Gento, was exploding worldwide. They had to navigate complex legal fights while delivering world-class performances. The fact that they came out of it with full ownership of their name and a viral hit says everything about their resilience. And now, they're expanding that vision. In early 2026, 1Z Entertainment opened auditions for a new generation of trainees, inviting others to start their own journey. They're not just paving a road for themselves anymore. They're building a highway for others to follow. This is their story coming full circle, turning their own survival into a blueprint for a new era of P-pop.
This is the part I think many fans feel but don't always talk about. Fear doesn't disappear with success, it just changes shape. And the fact that they've admitted this fear openly is, to me, one of the bravest things about them.
Underneath it all is the one pressure they rarely talk about, the one that's both their heaviest burden and their strongest fuel, the fear of failure. It's been with them from the very beginning. It's the fear of letting their families down, of disappointing the fans who have given so much, and the quiet, internal fear of not living up to their own massive expectations. Both Josh and Justin have admitted they're scared of failure. This isn't just a fear of one song flopping or a concert having empty seats. It's a deeper dread that every step up just makes the fall that much higher. Because they came so close to disbanding, they know how fragile success can be. They don't see fame as a prize they were owed, but as the unexpected outcome of a war they almost lost. This survivor's mindset means that even when they're winning, they're already preparing for the next battle. This fear is woven into their music. Their 2021 anthem, What?, is a powerful roar of defiance born from this pressure. The lyrics hit back at the haters, the doubters, and the crushing weight of expectation, turning all that negativity into armor. In the same way, their EP, Pagsibol, was a creative answer to the pain of hate comments they received, transforming hurt into art. The emotional toll is huge. They might be idols, but they're still human. Behind the perfect performances are sleepless nights, and the exhaustion of always having to be on. Their brotherhood is what gets them through it. Pablo's leadership, Stell's energy, Josh's resilience, Ken's calm, and Justin's warmth.
Writing this made me realize that SB19's strength isn't just talent or discipline, it's endurance. They stayed when it wouldn't been easier to leave, and that, more than anything, is what makes their story powerful.
All balance each other out against the outside world. They've also become advocates for mental health, talking openly about their struggles to show that even the most successful people fight internal battles. They've learned to set boundaries and protect their peace in an industry that always wants a piece of them. This fear isn't their weakness. It's their secret weapon. It's the engine that drives them to be perfect. It's why they practice until they ache, why they are involved in every single detail, and why they never take their success for granted. It's that voice in their heads that says, it's okay to make mistakes, but don't. Not today. Too many people are watching. The fear of failure is what keeps them hungry, humble, and fiercely dedicated. It ensures they never forget those days in that small training room, and it fuels their drive to build a legacy that can never be torn down. The story of SB19 isn't a simple rags to riches tale. It's a story defined by immense pressure, the pressure to prove their worth, to represent a nation, to innovate an industry, and the unspoken fear of it all falling apart. These aren't burdens they've overcome and left behind. They are forces they carry with them every single day. But that constant crushing weight is what made them the artists they are today. Resilient, real, and relentlessly ambitious. They've learned to turn pressure into purpose and fear into fuel. They don't think like idols who expect fame. They think like survivors who have earned every single win. From a viral video that saved them from breaking up to building their own entertainment empire, their journey has been a masterclass in turning struggle into strength. They've embraced their role as pioneers, knowing their success isn't just for them, but for the future of Filipino music. Their story is far from over. As they prepare for Wakas at Simula, the trilogy finale, a concert marking both an end and a new beginning, the pressures will only grow. But one thing is for sure. These 5 men have proven they are built to withstand the weight. The very forces that were supposed to break them have instead become the cornerstones of their kingdom.
If you've made this far, thank you. That alone tells me this story resonated with you in some way, and that means a lot.
SB19's journey is a story that's still being written. What part of their story hits home for you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the artists shaping our world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.